The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back, closing it out with Littell. Here's the man himself, Marc Littell.
Ralph, glad to be aboard. If it's Littell, it's going to be swell sometimes for the most part. But
if it's Littell, it could lead us to hell. How about that?
Yeah, well, that's the other side. You know, you got that right, Ralph.
Side. You got to have two sides. Well, today we have three sides. We have Wayne Unger from the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network joining us, and what it is, Wayne.
Hey guys, are you guys having like a little John Sterling competition here?
Right.
We haven't even gone that far yet, really, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. I would. You'd be Wingo if I did, Wayne. I thought about that today. An old nickname from way back, right? Jackson Heights days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just call you Wayne. How about that?
That works.
Okay. And you call me any darn thing you want. This is going to be fun today because one thing I like about Marc is that he's kept up with the game so very, very much. It's been maybe 3 weeks since your last podcast on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I want your impressions of spring training, of how it closed out. You are the closer. And the opening week. Anything you see that really interested you from your standpoint?
Well, you know, I'm on a lot of websites and also Facebook and things of that nature, trying to get a cue in on the fans a little bit. I do love the history of the game, and the fun thing is to watch where you've got some basically some hostile fans, and then you got some pretty interesting fans that follow the game through. And if they lose 2 games, they're going to fire the manager, and it's also a long season. But by probably midpoint, then you can start firing the managers. But I got a feeling there's a couple that might go if they don't come through here in the first probably 50 or 60 games, obviously, if not sooner. But
okay.
Go through spring training.
Notwithstanding the gaffes by Boone and Kaplan.
Kapler. Okay, now you did it, Ralph. You did it. You got to read the obituaries tomorrow and look for Kaplan.
There's not a guy named Kaplan in the obituaries tomorrow. I got to back this up. I'll go to the New York Times where there's a Kaplan in every obituary. But I'd be very, very much surprised. This happened before, Marc. I have to be very, very careful of what I say. He screwed up. Boone screwed up. You can't say they're going to be held accountable, that their jobs are on the line. For those, you have other managers in mind, and who may be victim early on. Who comes to mind, Marc?
Well, you look at Matheny, and I had Matheny as a player, and they're just kind of ripping through him pretty hard. And of course, now you have analytics playing the game for you today, and I do know this because I've been told this. And Kenny Reitz is a friend of mine, and he said, Marc, analytics says, the Cardinal analytics says at 6:15 before a 7:00 game, Mike has 3 lineups in front, and they say pick one. And of course, he says, sure, I can pick one for $12 million. So, there you go. And then just follow it. So I don't know if it's all Mike's fault. He's not swinging the bat for him. He's not throwing the ball for him. And if you got analytics, not going to change for you. So who is it? So but Mike's name comes up. You look at Ned, but Ned's a solid. Man, all these guys are solid guys. The new guy out of Philly, he kind of screwed up, I guess. But you're supposed to delegate and ask your pitching coach, who in the hell am I supposed to bring in here? Which I'm sure they already did. But, or who's gonna pinch hit at this time, which they didn't. And, small things like that. But small things can turn into big things because, the true fan watches the game. If you've got 50,000 at a game, there may be truly only about 5,000 to 6,000 people truly watching that ball game. The other ones are basically, trying to get a beer, watch their kid, or get laid. So, any of those three, prognosis is right there.
In no particular order, I might add.
Exactly, no particular order. And that's why we have binoculars in the bullpen, because we have them in our bag, so we can scope out and see what's really happening in the stands. So,
how's your old tomato, said Joe Schultz in Ball 4. That'll tell you something about what people are looking for in baseball. May I ask you this? When does analytics cross traditional managing? When does it come together, and how does it come together?
That's a good question, because I think every club, for the most part, has their own analytic people right now, and the language has even changed as far as, the lingo of the game. So you've got your Harvard, Yale guys, and all these guys, running the game and putting all the analytics into it. But they don't know about the guy the night before that got shit-faced, or his wife just beat the fuck out of him or something, and or something went wrong, and they see this on the bench and they say, this guy can't play today, or you're talking to your pitcher and one of your relief pitchers, hey, you got an inning today, you got 2 innings today, and he says, no, I haven't got it today. I mean, usually they'll tell you if they're honest. Yeah, I got an inning today. I got 2 innings today, because that's what you do. The pitching coaches are they're delegated by the manager and then they come back to the manager and say, hey, we can't really use so and so today. Let's give him another day's rest. And the fans are sitting there saying, why aren't you bringing in so and so?
What you're saying is that humanity makes analytics useless on a day-to-day basis. If you look at it on an overall basis, on the overall season, yeah, there are trends, but day-to-day, because of every player, you can multiply that by 25, because you have 25 players that come in all states of readiness to play. So theoretically, analytics go out the window totally, you could say. Not theoretically.
Absolutely not. No. You see, to totally throw analytics out the window completely is just as ridiculous as someone who's on the side of analytics. It's just as ridiculous as to say that someone on the side of traditional managing, on the side of analytics should completely throw traditional managing out of the window. I mean, what it is, it's that, there obviously needs to be a blend, a hybrid, so to speak.
Well, I think you're right. Yeah. Anyway, I think you're right, because see, it is a blending, and because you have more information, and that more information, put together by the right people is good. It can be good. But if it's overdone and like when Charlie O'Finley got involved, and he said, well, I'm basically going to manage the team from above, and of course that's the old school way. And then, of course, he went through a couple, 3 managers at that same time. Even Dick Williams, won the World Series and got fired. But there's so many interesting things. Analytics is good, but, there's some that can go overboard as well, because I think Whitey Herzog was actually one of the first to actually do a spreadsheet on where the outfielders should play. Not so much because he's not real big on the shift, I know, for any reason. But, we did have the spreadsheets back then, and that was a lukewarm way of getting into some part of the analytics way back then, even. So,
defensive positioning was always, was a part of the game. I mean, but it wasn't done from a database. Lots of managers, coaches kept notebooks. I mean, perhaps you yourself might have had a notebook, or might have known some other pitchers that kept that kept a notebook, or your catchers might have kept notes, and gone over game plans with the pitchers. So when you look at it, although it wasn't coming from a computer, it wasn't it wasn't spit out from all kinds of deep data. I mean, something as simple as that is using analytics.
Well, that's very true but here's something that I think a fan base should watch. And I mean, I already kind of knew this, but if you get on television, that's a beautiful place to watch a ball game from, because they pick up so much. And watch where the catcher sets up, but actually watch where the ball ends up on sometimes, because it isn't sometimes near that zone. And everybody said that, he's spotting it up really well, but he doesn't always spot the ball up always well. If he's hitting his zone, if he's hitting the area where he's supposed to try to hit, actually, that's fine. You've got really big time stuff pitchers today because of the velocity. They call it VO. So they're basing everything 95 and above. But you look at your pitchers that can change speeds, like your Maddoxes and Catfish Hunter are prime examples of true pitchers, and there's so many other pitchers too. But then you've got your throwers, and pitching and throwing have one thing in common: they have the same amount of letters in both words, and that's pretty much where it stops. So, and my grandmother can throw a ball, and she's 6 feet under, but whatever. But
with control, I might add.
It's an art. It's an art. It's an art.
Yeah. You'll find her at the same place. She's steady. Yeah. Every day, you can find your grandmother in the same place.
Exactly.
Got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Follow up on that. Sorry to break in with silliness. That'll happen.
That's okay. But here's now. Listen, I'm not saying it should be all analytics, and Ralph knows have been saying all along that there should be like I say, a combination, a hybrid. I mean, Billy Beane is an example of someone who took the opposite of traditional scouting, like, to an extreme. He didn't want to hear of it, because he himself was he was scouted and drafted as the ball player with the good body. He's got the face. He's got the good face. Can't miss. And that goes back to the days of the old time scouting. There's this book by Kevin Corain called $sign on the Muscle. And I believe he followed the Philly Scouts. I think it was in 81 for the 82 draft. And that's how, and like all those old time expressions, the good face, the good body, the loosey-goosey arm, things like that. And there were so many misses. And then Billy Beane took it to the other extreme. You just gotta, you have to mix the two. But another way that analytics have come into play, and Houston Astros are an example of this. I think they signed Charlie Morton based on the rotation numbers on his ball, on his rotation rate. And they said, we can work with this. The spin rate, exactly. The spin rate. They can work, and that too is, so analytics come into play, in other ways too, besides just, managing the game. But again, you need a guy that knows baseball. So,
You can't measure a guy's heart. I mean, what happens during adversity? How does the guy respond? How does the crowd affect him? How does his personal life come into it? So
Good
many
point.
things that. That's why I say on a given day, I didn't mean throw it all out, Wayne, but on a given day it's very difficult. You have to blend it in.
Yeah.
We agree to that. Who was ahead of his time when you played, Mark, besides Whitey Herzog, along those lines? Who were the best managers around?
Well, Earl Weaver was always there, because he was just sharp. You could tell, and I'm probably not even thinking, Billy was Billy, and he knew the game, obviously. Whitey was the best manager I had. You can see the ones that can't manage. They couldn't manage a laundromat. Might have been great ball players, but couldn't manage a laundromat. It was pretty simple to see that, actually. And,
okay. Anybody come to mind? Well, maybe not.
Well, I love him, and he's not alive anymore, and he was a great player, and he was a great hitter, and I love him as a player, and I love him as a person because we did a lot of hunting and fishing, but he was Ken Boyer.
Really?
And when you knew double switches and things of that nature and you're trying to overpitch a staff sometimes and underpitch certain guys, but the guy that knows the most about the pitching is generally going to end up coming close and getting in the playoffs. Those guys. I see fans that talk about the hitting all the time. And I've been in so many meetings because I've coached in 4 different organizations. And I can say for 3 of the organizations, the very first thing that was brought up in the first 5 minutes and was basically said like this was, hitting coaches, don't take this literally, but we're all about defense and pitching from the general manager,
Is that why so many great managers are former catchers?
Yeah, because you got Bochy. And I was Bochy's pitching coach in high A ball in the Cal League. Well, Pedro Martinez and Piazza were on the other team, and we won the damn league. But I was
there covering it for Tops, if I remember correctly.
That's exactly right, Ralph.
And we met years ago. Bochy he is such a fantasy. He is such a player's manager.
Yes,
Bochy, that when he was managing, even in Everett or wherever it was in the Northwest League, he was so close to the players. He'd have a fantasy league going with the players, Major League Fantasy League.
Mm-hmm.
He was such a special guy, huh?
Oh, yeah. Boch is, all the good managers. Whitey's a good social manager. Boch is a good social manager. They don't talk to you sometimes every day. They talk to me, obviously, because I was pitching coach. But, we're going back and forth about, tie ball game, down 1 run, down 2 runs, up 3 runs, who we're going to use and stuff, certain innings. But, I remember Whitey, for instance, and Boch is the same way. He wasn't one of these rah-rah guys that came out and would say, hey, man, it's a great job you did tonight, and ha, and look, we got to go get him tomorrow. If Whitey Herzog had 3 meetings all year, they never lasted over 2 minutes. And then the same thing with Boch. I remember Whitey, and I've said this before, he might have told me as many games as I've got in over there with Whitey, he might have said, nice job. He might have said that twice to me in my whole damn career, nice job. He'd shake my hand, but never did you hear nice job all the time, So that was, because we're professional. We're expected to do that. We're expected to do that. We're not a rah-rah high school, college bullshit stuff where they're up on the damn top step going, ha, 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 And I just tell the damn, it's funny when I'm coaching in rookie ball and I'm sitting down for my first ball game and I tell the damn guy that said, set the fuck down. I want to watch a ball game. We got 71 more games after this one, So it's pretty simple. And I said, I'm not going to go through this college rah-rah bullshit. So get used to being a professional. So I just trained him in about 30 seconds. Get the hell out of my face. So.
Hey, Mark,
crazy.
not because you're here, but I've said this for 2.5 years on this network and thought of it for 40 years. The most underpaid guys in the world are entry-level coaches in major league organizations. They make so much of a difference on how a player's career is going to go, and they are so undercompensated, whereas big league coaches who basically just don't teach, let's put it that way, these guys
they don't have
already in big leagues. Do you agree with, even if you didn't do that type of coaching in your life, would you agree with me on that, Mark?
Oh, no, I totally agree. But the thing is there there needs to be a balance because $100,000, let's just say, which is I think a little bit more than I used to get, but I mean they get more than that now than the 100,000. But I remember when a pitching coach might get 100,000.
You're talking big league coaches.
Yeah, big league coaches, and that's not actually a lot of money because when they go
compare that to the minor league coach.
Then the minor league coach gets 40, if not less, and now if I've got tenure, I get 50. You know, even as a rookie coach, I'd get $50,000, say. You know, and that's like, so what, you know? But then they want you to go instructionally or whatever, which is fine. It doesn't matter. But, you know, no, you're sitting there teaching, you know. And then the guys at the top level they're all good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're all pretty darn good. But you also have to have what we call a sponsor. And so I've been interviewed twice for big league jobs. Well, Bochy got me 2 interviews because he says, you know, Mark, he says you're not gonna get this job. He said, but I just want to show you off. And he called me back 30 minutes later after the interview. He said, you did a hell of a job. They were impressed. He said, you're not getting the job, but he said, they were impressed. I said, good. But, you know, after a while, you get tired of it. So after 18 years, I just said, I gotta move on. It's just, it won't be here because one, I kind of tell it like it is. Everybody's their own way. That's okay. But you move on. So there you go.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Now, you didn't get out of baseball. You primarily got into amateur coaching. Am I correct?
Yes, exactly. Because
now, is there
exactly.
more satisfaction, money notwithstanding, and the money could be more because you're dealing with a different type of income source. Is there more satisfaction in that for you?
There is when I first started, and I did it for 11 years, and I still have 2 teams in the college league. The college leagues, to me, are push button because they jump on board pretty quick, and I tell them, I set the tone. When you have younger players, 12 years and up, 12 to 18, you got hormones flying all around, so that's why I'm outside the dugout when I talk to them because I cannot set foot inside the dugout because I'm getting eaten alive by hormones, and I tell them that. So I just tell them to shut up and listen, and they do, and they all call me Mark. They don't call me Coach because I cut to the chase real fast. So I keep it simple, stupid. But the other thing is, then you have the millennial parents that are worse than the millennials. So, what the hell? The only time they actually practice is when they have a practice. They don't practice on their own, by the way. So, you wonder why we have more TJs and Tommy Johns. Well, there's one of the reasons. They don't have tensile strength or they don't have a tightened joint. They go work out. They go, I went to work out for an hour and a half and I'm done. And they bullshitted for 30 minutes of that hour and a half, which they only needed actually 30 minutes if they did it right to get the hell in there and the hell out of there. And then, but when my dad said put on cultivator points and it took me 4.5 hours and he was a Korean War vet that got shot all to hell, it took me 5 hours. I was going to do it no matter what, as long as I did the job right. So, when you're torquing a wrench and stuff like that, you're building, fine touch, kinesthetic awareness, throw a baseball and actually hit baseballs. So it's pretty much the way it is. Okay. So I come to the point.
I want to know, are you happier overall, are you happier in amateur ball coaching or pro ball coaching?
Well, right now I would be much happier at amateur ball because, if you say something, you're going to get fired anyway, so I'd be fired really quick. So, let's just cut to the chase. And, some would take your opinion and some wouldn't. Some would say, I like that, but the guy with the dicky on and whatever else, he might not like it, and he might be a real dicky-do guy, so whatever. And,
right. So this meets your needs. Let's put it that way, and vice versa.
Let's just put it this way, Ralph. I'm really glad I have 2 books out and Nutty Buddy, and I do an online sports mentor thing called. If you go to onlinesportsmentor.com, Dr. Lynn Miller and I teach a course, and we've taught courses to actually professional players for the mental game, and also some other courses. But it's interesting because, see, I'm 65 and this dog can still hunt a little bit. So, why am I using this tool, the telephone and or the computer? Because I actually see the only way that can operate it is that this is what it's coming to. So maybe I can get my point across that way as well, because we have taught to the professional online. 21-day course, takes 20 minutes a day. You go online, it's pretty simple, and then they do the exercises and the drills, and that's the way they want to get it. So I have to be spot on, and so does she, when we say these things of how we're trying to teach, the middle. And that's how I went to the big leagues, was with, through Dr. Bill Harrison and he has, Bill has, I can't even think what Bill has, but he does a fantastic job. He's with the Giants right now doing their stuff and trying to get their, to them to focus. When you said a point, Ralph, you were talking about, the crowds and things of that nature. Well, I found out, I put my mind, I took it to where I was actually relaxed more between the lines than I was off the lines. So that was my safe haven, and
nice.
You said that earlier.
I've heard that about a lot of athletes, that the field limit, you live in a date-type compartment, thank you, Dale Carnegie, and nothing else matters, whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent, outside of the lines. And that takes a tremendous amount of concentration. Not everybody can do that, as you well know. Who else in your career could do that? Who could block it all out?
George and I did the same thing with Harrison, and we took it at the same time. So I'm in the big leagues when I'm 20. I didn't even go to big league camp. I'm 9-1 in AAA. What the hell do they do to this guy named Littell? They have to call him up. They're going to lose him because there was all those rules in there that we can claim Littell on this date if he's not taken up. So, and the guys that my debut was in Baltimore, and I'm sure all these guys are in there looking at me walk in, and then they said, "Who's the new bat boy? He's awful big." That's the starting pitcher on the last game, the rubber game. So there it was. And it was kind of like Wayne was saying, you're talking about blending. Here's a 20-year-old guy with 25 to 27 and up ball players, didn't even go to big league camp. Where the hell did he come from? So, I did fine on my debut, and then I pitched against Oakland and found out what real baseball was like. But, the teaching was different. It's better now than what it is because, the spreading of the word. But I'm not so sure about some of these arm throwing programs because I disagree with some of that, and that's my disagreement. But there's backing too, because the way I feel about it. And
okay,
it's actually pretty simple.
I looked at your resume, Mark. You were a rehabilitation coach. Now, that's how it's come to in this day.
For 2 years. Mm-hmm.
Specialized, had no idea before reading that there was even one that was a coach that was specifically designed to do that or pointed to do that. What does that entail? Is it a very negative atmosphere because these guys are just work it out, coming back, a lot of doubts.
I mean, well, to me, it's not a negative atmosphere because I've been through surgeries myself and I had bounced back. And I said, you know what? It takes kind of a special person to bounce back from a surgery. And, I said, you've got to be a little bit strong-willed because you're going to have some setbacks. You're going to be floating along and everything's going fine. All of a sudden, you're going to feel a pop and you're going to go, oh my God, what's that? And I said, well, it's just actually a ligament that just stretched out and it needs to go that direction. And if you didn't notice it, your arm, for some reason, now felt better after that little pop, And they said, yeah, it did, as a matter of fact. I said, yeah. So, you listen to the doctors, you listen to the trainers, you listen to people trying to strengthen in certain areas, and then they listen to me, what my thoughts are, and then I throw with them maybe to where I can see, delivery-wise, just to see where they're just throwing for the first time flat, maybe just 15 throws for the very, very first time. And to see if they're going to bring their arm up on the backside right or whatever and show it to them and say, hey, here's your arm path and here's where we might want to get it because this is where you broke down last time.
So you will have cameras and a computer to actually show what.
Yeah, exactly. I love it because I'm really good at angles, and that's how I kind of invented Nutty Buddy because of angles, and because it's a real special type of cuff. And the CAD people said that did it, and he was a South Korean and he has his doctorate, and he said, "How'd you do this?" I said, "It's pretty simple. Form follows function." He said, "Yeah," but he says, "Wow, you got incredible bends in the thing." I said, "Yeah, it's anatomical." And I said, "Yeah, I get it." But he said, "How'd you do it?" I said, "Easy." So he said, "This glass I can do in 6 hours." He says, "Your cup takes me 3 days to do on CAD." I said, "Well, that's pretty cool." He said, "I don't see how your brain worked." So I love angles, So the ADD came out in me, and I started writing these stupid books, and people, for some reason, think, guy's a redneck out here writing books. It's ADD as hell. God damn. Crazy son of a bitch.
Record. A redneck and ADD writing a book.
Damn right. Damn Skippy.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Damn right, Skippy.
So, you have this knack to talk to people, and you talk to them in the right way, and they kind of say, hey, that kind of makes sense. That's dumb son of a bitch. He's kind of crazy, but he knows, yeah, it makes sense.
And so before you start talking, Mark, because I could remember this has to be 35, 37 years ago now, what you do, as most good communicators do, you look a person in the eye. And we made eye contact, and it makes all the difference. And I'll tell you what, 20% of the people out there in the world make eye contact with you. That's a biggie.
Yeah. That's the one thing I teach is when you shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, and if they do not look you back in the eye, don't trust them. I said you can't trust them. And I teach all my players that. I said, let me grip my hand. Take my hand. And they grip it like a weak link. I said, that's not good enough. Give me a man's shake here, will you? And then look me in the eye. I said, there you go. Why don't you go look yourself in the mirror tonight and look in the pupils and actually if you can see through yourself. That's what I want to see. Look yourself. Try to spot the pupils in the mirror. So that's a look you want.
Mark, give me an example of somebody you coached and who went on to great success, and you had a part in it. And you don't even have to mention his name. Just tell me a story.
Well, I can tell you, like, the one guy I got my second year when I was coaching in A-ball, and actually it takes about 5 years to develop yourself a plan as a coach, a professional. You just don't go out there and say, I have arrived. You have to actually listen if you want. There's a lot of people that say, oh, I can coach. I was in the big leagues. No, you can't. No, you can't. You got to actually be humble yourself just a little bit to absorb some of this things that you're going to screw up in. And then you're going to have to raise your hand and say to the players, I screwed up. And they say, what do you mean? I didn't do this. And they like that because you never hear coaches say that, And when a coach said,
well, you don't hear people say that. People don't say, I made a mistake, I'll change.
Right.
Or
I'll change.
Politicians, especially doctors, they're certainly not going to say.
Up. Right.
So.
Well, and so invariably, I got a hold of this one young man, and he came out of Biola, and so did his brother, and Todd Worrell, and then I had his brother Tim. Well, Todd was great guys. Todd lives in St. Louis still, and then Tim lives out in Phoenix. And I bump into Tim once in a while, and I had his son as a player last year on my college team. And he's like 6'4", and he might be a little bit taller than his dad, actually. But, real good kid. And I had Tim his first year. It was my second year as a coach, and we were talking, and he said to me two things. He said, you really, really helped me, what you said. I said, which time? He said, well, one, I remember I didn't cover first base. And first time you said, don't do that shit again. And then the second time when I didn't do it, you had me out there early. And he said, I almost threw up what you had me doing when I did it about 80 times. And he said, I always covered first base in the big leagues. He said, I was very good. And I said, good. And then he said, you said something on my front side, on my glove side about, turning my glove side down. And I said, yeah, you pronated your thumb. I said, that locks your front side in. And he said, never heard that before. But I said, well, that's great. And he said, you know what? I got 14 years in the big leagues. And he said, I was a mediocre type pitcher, but I survived. And I said, yep, you sure did. You battled, and I thought that was great. So,
nice compliment.
Super stuff, But
Wayne, I want to hear your voice. Any questions?
Yeah, you know what? I want to go back to, you brought up something. We in the beginning of the show you were talking about the beginning of the season. Mark, let me ask you a question. This is my first year living in Florida, and I was all excited to be able to go to spring training games. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of disappointed. And only because probably because my expectations were probably a little too high. But what did players think of spring training, or what did you think of spring training yourself?
Well, if I was a newbie, I thought, man, I want to show up good, and do the right thing. If I had 2 or 3 years under my belt and I had a good year before, it was kind of enjoyable to sit there and try to, to go through and somewhat relax, I think players do a lot of hugging and kissing nowadays, and with the other teams, and they need to stop that shit. They used to have that clause in there that you're not supposed to be talking to other teams and stuff. It's kind of like Bob Gibson talking to another hitter or from another team or anything like that.
It'd be fun. The commissioner's office would send a guy out to sit and watch. It was called fraternization.
Right. Yeah.
And these guys would fine you for showing friendship. And I think that's a union thing. I think that came together.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So
everybody started making $5 million a year. You could go, hey, meet you at the union meeting. Enjoyed it. What are we doing here? Oh yeah, baseball.
So
we got a game.
To follow that up, in spring training and even in the very, very, let's say, first week of the season, who has the edge, pitcher or batter?
Pitcher should.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the hitting has gotten so much better though because of video 20 years ago coming into the picture, and then another 5 years you get a pretty good coach learning how to break it down and read film. Don't So, but I mean, that's kind of that's a good question because normally the pitcher would be. But if it's, if you've got a pitcher out there and he's kind of going through the motions of, I'm getting myself in shape and get to hit a little bit, it doesn't bother him. But if you got a rookie out there and he gets hit, it does bother him, because, a hitter is saying this kid's probably going to give me a little bit more fastball than he is breaking ball because his brain's not ready yet. It's not in tune.
Hey, Mark, as a pitching coach in a minor league or in a big league organization, the minor leagues,
yeah.
Do you ever ask for input as to batters' skills, either on
without
the
a doubt.
team or in the league?
Without a doubt, all the time.
Oh, you are? Okay, good.
All the time.
So you're basically, without even communicating with the batters,
right.
You're basically scouting them as well.
Yeah. I would tell them.
Has there been a batter that you've been able to give a tip to in the minors that went on and credit you in the same way that Tim Worrell did?
Not so much hitters, but the hitters, if I'm going to be up front and center near the manager sometimes, and the manager knows me like Bochy, the hitters sometimes would ask me, they'd say, hey, Country, what do you think? I think this guy's going to pitch me at that runner on second, And I said, I think he's going to do this and this, and I think you need to go the other way and get that fucking run in and we win. How about that? He said, that's a good idea. So you keep it short, sweet, simple, and just say nothing more. If you elaborate too long, you lose them, So you just, say your piece and shut the hell up and see if he does it. And if you do it, you're a fucking genius.
Yeah. And some players take coaching better than others.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just because you played in the big leagues and you had a successful career doesn't make you understand or know the game better, because you actually have to know how to, word it properly, the sentence, so who you're talking to can absorb what you just said. Was
there a moment with that in mind when you had to learn to coach? Was there a moment you felt you came into your own where you said, wow, I got it?
I said, I'm getting it. Let's put it that way. I don't think I'll ever got it, but because I think baseball, like any other thing in life, is you don't totally get it, but I think I'm getting there. That was pretty, okay. That came out right.
Very well put.
But there's interesting things the way, when you word sentences right to certain individuals. Like, I will make a correction of myself. I'll say, you need to. And I say, I'm so sorry. I said, you don't need to. You might want to. So if you say, if you need to, that's kind of like a defeatist type of thing. You're almost sitting there saying, I've got to perform. No, you can actually work from a negative to a positive and relax yourself and actually perform better, rather than going after like a football player and I'm going to try to run through you. Because baseball is not a run through you sport. It's a touch field sport. It's kinesthetic touch field awareness. It's a round ball, round bat. Got to hit it square.
How does this stuff transcend to your personal life on a regular basis?
Well, I've learned to survive. Let's put it that way. And I've learned to talk to young people a lot better because I'm 65, yet I can talk down with them because I can talk with them, and I want them to teach me. I'll go by on my bench and 16-year-old or something, 14-year-old. I'm not doing them anymore, but they'd say something. I'd say, "What the hell is that?" And I'd go back and I'd sit by the 2 or 3 guys. They'd start laughing. I'd say, well, "What the fuck is it?" And so they'd tell me. I said, "Wow, that's pretty cool." They don't get up and go. But see, I'm trying to, feel my way in, and then I can set the tone because they know when I'm pissed because I don't cuss. I cuss for fun, I'm not a malicious cusser, like a lot of coaches. I listen to some coaches. I say, Jesus Christ, this guy's going to kill somebody. So,
there are the Bobby Knights and those guys throughout coaching history. I don't think this is a day and age where that stuff's going to work for that type of people anymore. That type of
no, and you know something? Our man, who was one of the best coaches ever, the basketball coach that had, with UCLA,
John Wooden.
John Wooden. I'm not so sure John Wooden would make it today either, because he never cussed, but he may make it, but I mean, it's so different. The individuals are so different now from then, it's so different. And,
now the coach today has to deal with the Alumni Association, and
that's a good point. Yeah,
it's a different coaching world too. Hey.
Well, you know what? On that, look at who is the Redskins coach that retired and came back some years later, and the game had already escaped him.
The NASCAR driver.
He owned a NASCAR team. Yes.
Right. Which tells me that you got to put every bit of your concentration into what you're doing. You can't split yourself. Not that he wasn't successful in NASCAR,
right,
or what he was doing, but it's got to be one or the other. And the game does pass you by quickly. And the hours here is about up. So, Wayne, if you would fulfill any questions, anything you have to ask Mark, the three of our maiden debut together, I think it's gone terrific. I really enjoy this dynamic. I hope you'll join us regularly, Wayne.
Yeah,
I promise I'll do the best I can.
That's all you could ask.
Yes, I have these days I have a crazy schedule, but no, you know what? It was nice hearing Mark's voice, and and just being on today. So if anything comes to my mind, I'll write it down. I'll save it for the next show. How's that? No matter how outdated it might get.
Okay.
Great to me.
Hey, Mark, is there anything? This is podcast radio, which is the whole idea. It's self-serving. It's so. What is it that you could give people an exact address how to reach you? I'll ask if there's any parent out there of a phenom.
Right.
How would they get in touch with you? If I had a kid with talent, man, I'd send them to Arizona on Greyhound. You'd get them tonight. Anybody out there, how can they reach you the best way?
I'm extremely accessible because I have Facebook stuff, and then I'm out there on your site as well, and you can do this, but my number is 602-818-8133, and I keep an open line to anybody, and I really do, because I have a thing called Signed, Sealed, and Delivered on my my first and second book now, to where all you do is just call, and you send me the check on Boot Best or a credit card, and then I cut to the chase and sign it and send it and seal it and deliver the whole thing. But I like accessibility to kids. And, you can put that up on your site, the site, Ralph, we have right there. And online sports mentor, just mark.littell, onlinesportsmentor.com. That's my email. And
beautiful. We'll put that.
But I just make it, it's just simple. And you get to see it. Or you can go on the other thing, www.marklittell.com, and that's my book site. So there you go. Pretty simple.
Terrific. We will be back a week from today, and I want to thank everybody out there for listening. If you enjoyed our offering or any of the offerings on Comfortably Zoned, you could do me a solid. If you would box up some lightly used children's books and take them to the Head Start program wherever you are, they are so needed. Kids need to read. They need to develop a passion, get their nose out of the computer, become school ready. It's got to be great for kids. Box them up, send them to the Head Start program, bring them down there. They will appreciate it, and so will I. And Marc Littell, Wayne Unger, what a great way to spend a Tuesday morning with you guys. Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have a great day.
Adios, guys.
Bye-bye.